When you ask parents what they want for their children, the most common answer, happiness. They just want their children to be happy. He was a happy child, full of life, loved the outdoors. But in 1999, at the tender age of 12, a dark cloud blocked this young boy's sun. My name is Yvonne Kalahi. This is Cancer Diaries.
My name is Dan Obura, and I am a cancer survivor. I'll just take you back where my story began. Was back in '99. I was 12 years old, and I was a very jovial boy, very curious when it came to school, when it came to being outdoors with friends. I loved my bicycle when I was a kid, and I basically liked people, around me.
It was a day just like any other. Dan had a great day at school. He was staying with his aunt while his parents were away. So what could possibly go wrong?
My cancer story journey started when there was a day I got back from school. At that time, my parents used to travel a lot within this is another country. So every single time they used to travel, I used to stay with my auntie. So this particular moment when they had traveled, I came back from school, obviously dirty as any other child. There's always that let's go play before we get home. So when I got home, my auntie was the one who actually noticed the lump on my neck. It was on the left side of my neck. So the first question she asked me was, did you hurt yourself while playing? Did someone hit you? Because she was a very concerned person as well. So I was like, I can't recall. I really can't recall.
Dan Obura was only 12 years old. He could have fallen and hit himself. Somebody could have pushed him. He could have hit himself on something. But he just could not explain that painless lump at the back of his neck.
When she touched it, it felt weird. It didn't feel like a swollen wound. It just felt like, like there was something inside. So she was very skeptical about it. So the first thing she did was she called my mom. I talked to my mom on phone and she was like, are you sure you didn't fall or anyone hit you? And I'm like, no, So my mom cancelled her work trip and she came back the following day to Nairobi.
Dan's mother wasted no time getting her young son to a clinic. She needed an expert medical opinion. And Dan's uncle, a surgeon, who ran a clinic along Jogoo Road here in Nairobi, seemed like a good place to start.
So he just did a physical examination, felt it, and he was like, it's nothing serious, it's accumulation of fat. I've seen such cases and all that. So we just need to change your diet and see where it takes you.
Well, it was no big deal. Just an accumulation of fat. All was needed was a change of diet and all would be well. Or so they thought.
All sausages were put aside. Bacon was put aside. Everything. This is just for me. So that I was on an ngwashe, duma, ungaya wimbi. Obviously I used to sneak in a bit of fries somewhere when no one was looking.
For young Dan, living in the city, sausage, bacon for breakfast, French fries for lunch, doma and ngwashe was going to be a pretty hard switch. But 2 weeks later, it grew a bit. It became the lump actually just became a bit bigger. So that's now when my mom was a bit skeptical when we went back to my uncle and he was like, okay, now we need a second opinion. Dan's parents consulted further. This time, another one of Dan's uncle. an ENT specialist running a clinic here in Nairobi.
I remember I was called to his examination room in town, and he just did just a simple, he felt it, and then he just asked me to step out of the room, because his face even changed. Yeah. So he asked me to step out of the room, so which I did.
So what is this second doctor's diagnosis? What is this rapidly growing lump on Dan's neck? What is it that the doctors don't want young Dan to hear?
So they talked with my mom and dad for the longest time. I'm just there scrolling through magazines at the reception of cars. Then they came out, and my mom was like, now, tomorrow, we need to take you to hospital. You can't go to school. Me in the back of my head, I'm a child, and I'm like, I'm skipping school. I mean, who wouldn't want to,
You're 12 years old.
Yeah, I was 12 years old. So, but there was now a twist to it. I was told I can't eat. From that moment until morning, and I'm like, wow, you guys, seriously?
Young Dan is confused. Before it was a diet change, now no food. How do the adults expect a 12-year-old to survive without food?
The only thing I could take was basically water. So the following morning is now, we woke up very early at 6:30, we were at Gertrude Children's Hospital. I was shown my bed, I changed into the hospital wear and all that. So I'm just there, then they came and put this tag on my bed, do not feed the patient. And I'm like, wow, that's okay. I will eat eventually.
From doctors' clinics in town to admission at the Gertrude Gardens Children's Hospital, what was going through young Dan's mind?
In the back of my head, I just thought, I'm being admitted, they will more or less of give me injections, because that was my idea of being in hospital.
Depending on the type and stage of the lymphoma and other factors, treatment options for people with Hodgkin lymphoma can include chemotherapy, radiation therapy, immunotherapy, including monoclonal antibodies, high-dose chemotherapy and stem cell transplant. Except for biopsy and staging, surgery is rarely used to treat Hodgkin lymphoma. For young Dan, this was just a passing cloud. In a short while, he would be back to his easy, happy life. After all, he was only 12 years old.
This nurse just walked up to me and she was like, let's go for a walk. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, okay, you're being weird. I don't know you. Why would you just want to take me for a walk? She had an agenda. So I got out of my bed. We were walking. She was like, do you want a wheelchair? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. So she took me to the garden. We walked, we talked. She was asking me about school and all that. Then we walked back into the building, and now we are walking within the corridors of the hospital, and we just entered the theater room.
Young Dan is in unfamiliar territory. This is a room he only sees in the movies, a hospital theater, and the main star is none other than himself.
And I'm like, what is happening? She's like, nothing. So she took off my gown and she told me to lie down on the bed. And there was like a really bright light, facing the bed. So I'm just lying down there. Then they just push in knives and surgical stuff around me, and I'm like, okay. So I asked the nurse, what's happening? She's like, we're just going to do a minor procedure on you. And I'm like, will I be awake? I'll be like, no, you will not be awake. So I remember that they started sticking needles inside me, then the gas mask. The moment the gas mask was put on my face, it didn't even take a minute, I was out. I just blacked out. I woke up in the ward now. So the first thing I said was basically, Mom. My mom was just right there beside me. So I'm telling her, hey, I feel weird. Everything is just spinning and everything. So she called the nurse. The nurse was like, okay, it's normal to have nausea after surgery because of the medication. But I told her, hey, it's weird. This is really, really weird. So apparently, when I was trying to, when your nerves are getting back to function normally, I was kicking a lot. I was throwing my hands. So there was a needle injection inside me that had come out. So blood was seeping the drip wasn't pumping water, the medication inside me. So when she opened my whatever, because no, the moment she made me sit up, I just felt dizzy. So when they removed my beddings, I just saw blood everywhere. So me, I'm like, oh my God, what have you people done to me?
12-year-old Dan Obura has just undergone his first major surgery, and all seemed to be okay. He was just happy to go home.
All this time, I can't feel the bandage on my neck. So I get home, I'm lying down on my bed, I'm just chilling. Let me tell you, now that anesthesia starts wearing off, is now when you start feeling that pain.
It took 3 weeks before the result of the sample came back from Italy. 3 weeks that changed the young boy's life and that of his family.